Let's get you ready for Week 16 after a great set of Week 15 games. We've got some interesting matchups this week as well. Houston at Kansas City. A lot of questions. Will Patrick Mahomes play? Will he not? Not sure there. Chargers and Broncos face off on Thursday night. Can the Chargers come back after that tough loss against the Bucs? And then in this video, we're going to look at our game picks, some top plays from Week 15, updated playoff picture. And we're going to start out here, and then we'll do our weekly Super Bowl pick as well, which has changed from last week. But we're going to start off here with our power rankings. We're going to look at the top 5 starting right here. Let's look at the top 5 in our power rankings. We start with the Skull team, the Minnesota Vikings. Offense looks great. Brian Flores has done a great job with the defense. At 4, yes, our former number 1 drops all the way to 4. You cannot afford losing Carlton Davis and then David Montgomery. Those injuries hurt. And then the Kansas City Chiefs are at 3. Could be a little bit lower. We want to see what the Mahomes injury looks like, but we think that defense is really the focus anyway. And then our new AFC top has got to be the Buffalo Bills. Look what they did in the past 2 games, looking great offensively. Our concern would be the defense, and that's why we've got the Eagles ranked at number 1. We think that they're the more well-rounded team with that offense and that defense. Let's go ahead and start our picks with our number 1 rated team, the Philadelphia Eagles, as they head to Washington with that rematch with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. This is the first of 2 division rivalry revenge games. In this one, the NFC East, both the Eagles and Commanders, they played earlier this year on Thursday Night Football. Early on in the season, everybody was on the Commanders bandwagon, including us. But we saw the Eagles as the more viable threat in the NFC East. They've turned the tables. Now they're in first place. We wonder here, could it flip back? We think Jaden Daniels is now fully healthy. We're going to go pick the Eagles in this one, 28-24. We think it's going to be razor thin, really close. Any line beyond that, we might even take a 4-point line on the Commanders to cover. We think it's going to be closer than people think. The Commanders are coming back, getting ready for the playoffs, so watch out for the line movement. As of this recording, the lines are Eagles minus 3.5 to minus 3. If you can get that minus 3 or minus 2.5 number, we like the Eagles here. We think the Commanders will keep it close. The Eagles ultimately win it. Texans at the Chiefs in the Saturday special. We're updating this game because, again, the line has flipped. It's first it started off with Chiefs minus 2, then it moved all the way to Texans minus 2. Now it's gone back to Chiefs minus 3.5, and that's the expectation that Patrick Mahomes will play. He is practicing, but I'm going to look at the odds a little differently. You have to look at Patrick Mahomes for one thing. Is he playing as well as he has in years past? Is the Patrick Mahomes performance equal to reputation? And the answer is no. So we look at that. We think the Texans will take this one 21-17. What we look at is even if Patrick Mahomes plays, he's not going to be as good as even he's done this year with a high ankle sprain. That is not easy to play with. We think the defense with that fast pass rush will be all over it. We love the odds here. If you can get that line up to +4, take the Texans. And the Titans at the Colts, and this is an updated selection with the news that Will Levis is being benched in favor of Mason Rudolph. We think Rudolph is an upgrade over Levis, who's just been unable to avoid the interception and the turnover this season. We look at the Colts, this mistake by Taylor notwithstanding, we think they should have beaten the Broncos. That would have, we think, made the score 20-3, 20-7, something like that, and we think the Colts would have won. We think they'll bounce back here from that unlucky, unfortunate loss to Denver to take care of the Titans here, 21-17. Bucs at the Cowboys, and we think the NFC South is going to be the most interesting division race as it comes down to the wire. Of course, this is week 16, so you have 16, 17, and 18. Just 3 more games left. We think the Bucs are the better team. The Falcons have the easier schedule. So this is one of those games. Because of that, the Bucs cannot lose this one. We think they'll take care of business here at Dallas, run all over the Cowboys 28-17, because Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield know they've got to keep winning, keep ahead of the Falcons, who own the tiebreaker because the Falcons won both head-to-head matchups earlier this season. A few top plays from Week 15. Got to start with that Lions and Bills potential Super Bowl preview. Jared Goff and the Lions not enough as Josh Allen played out of his mind yet again, looking great. We hope that is a Super Bowl matchup. And then Derek Stingley Jr. taking this ball away from Tyreek to seal the victory over the Finns. And then, of course, Baker and Mike Evans Magic out in L.A. Great game. 49ers at the Dolphins. You have 2 playoff caliber teams having subpar seasons, and we'll tell you exactly why. 49ers really, it's been all about injuries. We think Brock Purdy has played just fine. The receivers, of course, you lost key receiver Brandon Ayuk early. Christian McCaffrey's gone for the season. That really takes away a lot of their offensive potential. But Brock Purdy's still had a pretty good year compared to Tua. Tua, again, despite the concussion and all that, we feel bad for that, what happened, but he's just not an above-average quarterback. He cannot beat elite defenses. And now with the 49ers getting Nick Bosa and Dre Greenlaw back, that defense is elite. All the injuries notwithstanding, they're far better than what the Dolphins put out there. And we think Brock Purdy is less prone to the interception. Tua with 3 interceptions against the Texans, that's not going to get it done. We like the 49ers here to win it by 7. They're underdogs here. We like them plus 1.5. See if you can get that line up to 3. Either buy it or look for some line movement up. And an updated pick here with the Giants and the Falcons. In our previous video, we had called for the benching of Kirk Cousins, at least temporarily, due to these interceptions, basically an epidemic of interceptions. We think the rookie deserves a shot. Michael Penix will get the start here at home. We think that's a brilliant coaching move. Give him his first start at home, comfortable environment, indoors, at the Mercedes-Benz. So we think the Falcons will take care of the Giants here, 24-14. We think Penix, if he can avoid the rookie mistake and start off, the guy's got a great arm, deep ball. We think you can just get that ball to the receivers and the running backs, maybe in the backfield, some screens. We think they should take care of the Giants rather easily. Saints at the Packers, and it's just been one of those years for the Saints. We think this game could have really been competitive. We were actually looking forward to it. They played an 18-17 game last season, and losing that game is actually what cost the Saints the NFC South title. It was an early game, week 3 or week 4, but still, all the games count, right? They lost on a tiebreaker. When we look at the Packers, however, when they are healthy, we believe they're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. They're right there with the Lions, all those guys. We think in this one, with the Saints having a backup quarterback, the Packers should have no issue here, 27-17. We're curious how they're going to do with playoff position, and clearly the NFC North title is out of their reach. But if they can position themselves for a good wild card, we think this team could definitely make a deep run, especially if they get Jair Alexander back and they stay healthy. And now for an update on the AFC playoff picture. 4 teams have already clinched. The number 1 seed Chiefs, the Bills sitting there at 2. The Steelers at 3. Haven't clinched the 3, but they've clinched a spot. The Texans have clinched the AFC South. Ravens are sitting there at 5. Broncos move up to 6 after their victory over the Colts. Chargers are still in it. They fall down to 7. The Colts are the closest team there at 8, but they're 2 games behind the Chargers, so they're almost eliminated, but just not quite yet. Patriots at the Bills. Bills finally back home after 2 tough road games at the LA Rams and then at Detroit, winning the game that we think is the Super Bowl preview. We'll see if that is actually our Super Bowl prediction here later in the video. But for this game, this is a normal spot you might expect a trap. We just don't think Sean McDermott, Josh Allen's going to allow that to happen. He's pushing for potential MVP. And also the Bills know not to let up. You want to get that optimal playoff positioning. You don't want to mess it up by losing a game you should win. So we think they'll take care of business here at home, 35-17 over the division rival Patriots. Vikings and the Seahawks, we're having to update this one after the Sunday night game as Geno Smith suffered a knee injury. Not sure the severity. We'll have to check on that and make sure we follow the injury status as the week goes on. We're going to proceed with the assumption that he likely will not play in this game, so we'll adjust as the week progresses, so watch that. We think the Vikings are going to be playing for that NFC North. We're not going to let up here. We thought they might, had they not been just actually tied with the Lions. We think they're going to play well here and win it 27-17 over the Seahawks. And this is one position we like. We think we're comfortable with the Vikings minus 2.5. See if the line's posted at 3 to 3.5. Try to get that under the key number of 3. We think the Vikings are right on the same talent level as the Packers. So at Seattle, they should have similar results with or without Geno Smith. Rams at the Jets as the Rams have to go cross-country for a back-to-back road game. And when we look at these two teams right now, definitely the sexier pick is going to be the LA Rams with that offense, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and that Puka Nacua is just crazy. It seems like he can catch everything. He did his David Tyree impression, if you notice that, against the 49ers, catching the ball in the helmet like that. Really crazy. And you look at the Jets, obviously a disappointing year. Aaron Rodgers, poor performance. Got Devontae Adams, still hasn't helped anything, but we're going to take the ugly team here. We think a team on a back-to-back road game. We also look at the 49ers game. A little bit of luck for the Rams there, a little bit of luck against the Bills as well. Block punt. Can't say that's luck, but that's not going to happen that often, a special teams touchdown. We think it flips here. Go to the Jets, who've been underachieving all year. And the NFC playoff picture, the Lions and Eagles are tied, but the Lions get it by virtue of tiebreak. Eagles at 2. Bucks are surging there at 3. The Rams have taken over the NFC West. The Vikings dominating, but still at the 5 because the Lions are in their way for now. Packers at 6. Commanders at 7. And as far as the teams that have already clinched, the Vikings, they've clinched. Eagles and Lions have clinched as well. This could be very interesting towards the end with the Lions and their injury issues. Jaguars at the Raiders in the battle of the backup quarterbacks, and also a battle of 2 teams that are trying to get the best draft position they can get. We see the Raiders in the top 3. Jaguars are going to be in the top 10. Not sure how they'll finish the course this week and then 2 more weeks to go. But But we think if all things being equal, if they were playing full strength and trying to win, we'd like the Raiders here. But we think you have to be realistic. If we're the Raiders, we would not be coaching this one to win. Not to say that teams tank, but teams tank. So in this one, we think the Jaguars will take it 24-17. Notice we left the coloring in silver and black because we think the Raiders should win this one, but we think the Jaguars will because of the reality of draft positioning. Lions at the Bears in a rematch of that interesting Thanksgiving Day game that cost Matt Eberflus his job. With the opportunity to tie it or go ahead, somehow they lost track of time, didn't use that final timeout, lost the game. But really it goes deeper than that, as the Bears proved in their follow-up game at San Francisco. It's not just about the coaching. They've got a lot of issues they need to sort out. But in this game, let's not forget the fact that the Bears did play the Lions very closely. Now it's going to be in Chicago. On paper, the Lions should blow the Bears out by like 10-14. We think it's going to be a little closer than that just because there's some potential weather there. You've got wind. Of course, it could be cold weather. That's not good for an indoor team. We do think the Lions ultimately win. We think it's going to be closer. If you see a double-digit line, consider taking the Bears to cover that. We like the Lions here, 21-14. Broncos at the Chargers, AFC West divisional matchup. Two teams that should be in the playoffs. The AFC seems to have been kind of finalized here. Not too much drama in the final weeks, unlike the NFC, which is far more interesting. But when we look at these two teams, the Chargers won the initial matchup in Denver. We think the Broncos have gotten a little bit better. I think Bo Nix has been playing at a really good level, definitely not playing like a rookie. We look at the Broncos here for the upset. We look at the Chargers. The defenses are about even, but we think the Broncos' offense is a little bit better expite Justin Herbert having more experience. We think the Broncos take it 21-17. Browns at the Bengals are our updated pick now that we've learned that Jameis will not be starting in lieu of DTR, who will take over at quarterback for this game, perhaps the remainder of the season. Remains to be seen. We personally view this as a mistake. We think Jameis gives you the better chance to win. He does throw some picks, but he also has some big plays. We think the Bengals will take this one 28-17 over the Browns. We think Joey B will have a breakout game. I think his frustration, you can see that in the game against the Titans. The Bengals are due for a better performance. We think they'll get that here at home against the Browns. Cardinals at the Panthers, two teams that have burnt us when we picked them. Our worst pick of the week last week, week 15, was the Panthers over the Cowboys. Not sure what we were thinking when we thought at home the Panthers would be able to put up a show. And we thought that they were improving. A couple games they played, they had close losses. Similar with the Cardinals, had about a stretch of 3 games that were just absolutely terrible. 2 of those losses to the Seahawks. We think they're the better of the bad teams here. We think Bryce Young has maybe reverted to his early season and last season form. Kyler Murray had a better game this past game. He did struggle on the road. Curious to see what he can do on the road here at Charlotte. But we do think ultimately the Cardinals are the better team. We like them here 21-14 over the Panthers. And now for our weekly Super Bowl prediction, we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills, who have looked great the past couple of weeks. If Mahomes has any degree of injury, that might make the AFC path a little easier. And then the NFC, we think ultimately the Lions are still going to be there. But based on this week, and if the playoffs started this week, we think the Eagles would be the stronger team, the tougher out. We think the pass defense makes the difference. And one of our preferred matchups for this week, Steelers at the Ravens. Rematch of an earlier game. The Steelers came out on top. Really weird game. If you go back and watch that game, the Ravens played one of their poorest games probably in the past 2 to 3 seasons, almost like the AFC Championship game where they could not do anything right. 2 key missed field goals from Justin Tucker, very makeable field goals. 2-point conversion at the end. It was, we think, a very terrible play call, and then a couple of other fluke turnovers. We think the Ravens bounce back from this one. We think these teams are even. We like the Ravens to bounce back and then move towards the AFC North title. We think they're going to take the Steelers here 28-21. And if you've made it this long, just a reminder, we keep our updated plays on our website, on the homepage, buried between all sorts of articles and other information. But these are the games we like, the ones we're actually putting positions on. We do change this, so if our updated lines, check it out, because obviously we put these out in the middle of the week. A lot changes between now and Sunday. These are the ones we like for this week.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.